Um, it shouldn't. Does it work at school? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. They might have changed the policies a little bit. I don't know if you could use it at y'all should be able to use Adobe at home, right? Okay, yeah, I don't know then. Any of y'all had to put in your payment info? Maybe, did you put in your school email or just a normal email? Oh, yeah. Did you use your school email or just like a personal email? Mm, yeah. Mm, yeah. I would try that. If it doesn't work, just take off your payment information for now, and so that way they don't charge you anything. And if you're not able to get online, like let me know, and we'll like figure that out. Mhm. All right, so 101. So let's go ahead and get started. How's everyone doing today? Good. Awesome, awesome. It's good to see y'all here, and hopefully everybody's having a wonderful week. I'm having a pretty good week so far. Today was kind of crazy. So I probably told you all like yesterday, like my family kind of owns like a small coffee shop, right? We had our trainer no show today. So I had to train everyone, and I was supposed to be trained. So thank goodness I've had experience as a teacher, so I was able to get everybody to train each other and direct that, and that went very well. But yeah, the no-show thing was very surprising. So, also really quick for my online students, can y'all see my screen, hear me, all that stuff? Just want to double check.
Yeah, we can.
Excellent, excellent. Awesome. All right. So really quickly, y'all, I just want to take roll. I try to remember as many people as I could. I apologize if I didn't remember your name. But I'm gonna say the names of the people that I didn't put in roll call. So there's a couple of people I didn't get in yet. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So when I say your name, just let me know that you're here. It's Ani here. Hi, Ani. How are you? Good, good. And then Amy. Hey, Amy, how are you? Jade? Hey, Jade, how are you? Kiara? Hey, Kiara, how are you? Maria? Not yet. Alyssa? Hey, Alyssa, how are you? Zila? Ozella? Okay. And then Amanda. Hey, Amanda, how are you? Awesome. I'm good. I'm good. Okay, everybody else, I have you all in roll call. So I will take roll again during like break time. So if you ever hear a little bit late, like I'll do a second roll call. Also good to know. If I'm ever late for class, I forgot to say this yesterday. I will always email y'all if like there's no class. Okay. So if I'm not here and you don't get an email, it means there is still class. I'm just late. I will always email y'all if I'm late too. So I literally will like go like off the freeway, park somewhere, and then email y'all first, and then go back on the freeway, like just to keep everything safe, right? But you should receive an email, and usually I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna be there like 10 to 20 minutes late, 10 to 15 minutes late. It's rare, but in case it happens, just keep an eye on the emails, basically. So if I don't show up, just check your email to see what the situation is. Okay. Really quickly, I just kind of want to go over. So every beginning of class, we're going to look at the weekly announcements. They should have like announcements for what's going to happen today, things like that. So today, I want to go over checking out like pens and stuff. You know what? Let's not do that for now. Sorry, I want to change my mind on that. Just because I feel like every time we start off checking out the pens, people get really confused with like Illustrator and stuff. We're going to be using the mouse and keyboard today, just to start off with. Yeah. I want to go over the codes of conduct for this class, and then I put a project one sample in the Google Drive. So really quickly, y'all, if y'all go into the Google Drive, and I apologize, y'all, like I wasn't able to bring the cups today. I was supposed to stop by home after the training, but because our trainer didn't show up, I had to like stay there the whole time. So I'll bring the cups on Monday. But if you go into the Google Drive and then you go into like projects over here and you go to project one, let's just say Jesse Pack sample. I put 2 student samples in there, and I only have the cup samples because this is the first session that I'm actually doing the stickers. This is a test project. But if you are doing the cup, it should kind of look like this. So you're going to give me one of these. I'll show you how to make one of these later. So this is the final file. Here are the reference boards. So 1, 2, 3. And then if you all look at the sketches, so exactly like this. So we have a total of eight thumbnails. 2 refined thumbnails. So 1 over here and 1 over here. And then like a total of like 3 color schemes. So this person did this one. You can do, if you want to do like what is it? This person did this one and like 2 of the other one. If you want to mix and match, that's fine. But I always recommend people, it's actually better if you just stick with 1 design and like 3 color schemes. Like you want to get more variations like for those stages. But basically this person, I think they did everything in Procreate. And what they did is they uploaded it into Illustrator and they traced it over in Illustrator. Does it kind of make sense, everyone? Awesome, awesome. Yes. Yeah, they're gonna be still thumbnails for so you could just do like you can still give me like 8 thumbnails. Just give me like 8 different stickers to start off with. If you want to do more, since like for the thumbnails of the sticker part, we're just testing stuff out, it may be kind of like a little bit wishy-washy for some of the things, but for this like summer session, if you're doing the stickers, just give me 8 stickers to start with. Make sure to number them so we can vote on them for you. Because it's a little bit less sketching than the actual cups. If you want to do a couple more stickers, we can vote on more of them for you too. So if you want to do like 10 or 16, like it'll give us more to vote on for, so, but at least 8 to start with. Yes, Amy. Yeah, just for now. Yeah, like I'll tighten up the instructions as sessions go on. But for this session, you can just do like if you want to do sticker sheets, that's fine. You can do like 6 sets of sticker sheets. That's fine too. But just number them and just have at least like eight total. Yeah. Great questions though. Any other questions? Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use Illustrator today. Before we do that though, so quick review. Next Monday, I need your questionnaire, syllabus, and codes of conduct. I just uploaded the codes of conduct. I also need your project 1 thumbnails, and I also need y'all to answer these discussion boards. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure to do those before the weekend ends. We will be going through everybody's 4 best pieces, so make sure to have those up. Okay, I just want to do a quick gallery show to see like all the cool stuff y'all, right? But really quickly, before we start any of the stuff today, I need to go over the codes of conduct and then project 2. Anybody have any questions before we jump into that? Awesome, awesome. And let's see. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for that. Okay, codes of conduct. So I want to go over the codes of conduct for this class. I didn't have a codes of conduct before, but I'm going to be doing it with all my classes just because like I feel like there's some like unsaid things that need to be said that just help people be a little bit more aware of stuff. And you'll see what I'm talking about too when I go over these, because these are all things that's happened to me, and it's really just to set like boundaries and make more efficiency in the class. Okay, so really quickly, codes of conduct. Okay, these codes were made to show my rights at CSUF as a teacher, along with behavioral issues that may disrupt the class. Okay, it's also for everyone's benefit here. Okay, it's like to let everybody know this is how the class is going to go down, and how to be respectful of others. Right. So really quickly, respect. Number 1, if you're in this class, you're going to treat everyone with respect, including teachers and fellow students. Okay. Active participation, engage in class discussions, activities to the best of your ability. My rule is this: if someone critiques for you, you should stay for their critique too. Okay, last semester, they were the first person to get their critique, and they were like, hey, Jesse, can I leave now? And I said, well, everybody just spend time going over your work. I think it's best if you stay so you can go over everybody else who went over for you, right? And they're just like, oh, but I really gotta go. And I'm just like, I mean, they didn't really have an I'm not gonna give it a reason, but it was more of a personal, selfish reason. And I was like, in the end, I'm just gonna say this too. Y'all are adults. You can do whatever you want, but it's just common courtesy to like do these things. Like if someone critiques for me, I'm gonna stay for their critique too, right? Punctuality, arrive on time in class, be prepared to start learning, okay? When we're doing critiques in class, you have to make sure everything's uploaded, all right, before we start the critique. I have some people who like to upload during the critique. I have to think about how much time I have to give to each person in the critique. So if you upload yours in the middle, it messes up all the timing for everybody. Okay, so you need to be respectful of that and just make sure that when you are like doing these things that you're prepared for it. No disruptions. This is the big one. Okay. Really quickly, I'm a pretty talkative person. I love talking to y'all. I love talking to people. And I love making conversation. But I think sometimes those things go a little out of hand. Try to avoid all behaviors that are disruptive to the learning environment, such as talking out of turn, using electronic devices inappropriately. For my people who are staying on Zoom, please always make sure that your mic is muted unless you raise your hand and have a question, things like that. Also, like when I'm giving lectures or announcements, be mindful of that too. Like during lectures, ask questions related to the lecture. Okay, when I'm giving announcements, like last semester, I was giving a lecture on copyrights, and I think I already told you about this. But like literally, like someone like walked up to me and they wanted to talk about like a personal matter, and it wasn't even like an emergency. It was like it was something I said, hey, let's talk about this during break. I said that over email. I said, let's talk about this during break or after class or before class. But they asked me during a lecture while I'm teaching everyone, like, have a little more self-awareness, okay? Like everybody's learning right now. It takes away time from everyone. It takes away time from me too. Also, make sure to ask questions related to the class again. Like I had someone like ask me like, I love talking about anime and video games, but save that for break time and save that for like, when it's not like about the lecture and stuff. Cooperation, collaborate with your classmates, support each other's learning, respect the property, treat the classroom materials and equipment with care and respect. Please don't break these, like be mindful of them. If you get it dirty, wipe it up, things like that. No bullying or harassment, be supportive and kind to your peers and report any instances of bullying or harassment to the teacher. Academic integrity, always do your own work, give credit to others for their ideas and contributions, no plagiarizing, deriving from AI or falsifying information. Follow instructions, listen carefully to instructions from the teacher and follow them accordingly. Do not move ahead unless instructed, as there's a process. This is kind of important. I have people who like to move ahead and then like they're like, I need help. And then I help them and they're doing something totally different than what we're doing. Okay, if we're not on that step, don't ask for help on that step. Okay, like we are all moving together at the same time. And if someone's moving ahead, if you want to move ahead, that's fine. If you do it wrong and you have to redo it again, we're not waiting for you. Okay, like so take things step by step and don't move ahead and ask questions about things that are ahead unless we're at that stage already. All right, like it is somewhat disruptive. What is it? Cleanliness, clean your workspace, keep it tidy. No eating is allowed inside in the computer labs. Water's okay, but should be left off the tables. Allow me to use, okay, this is important. In break time, this is for myself, okay? Please let me use the restroom and get water if I need to use it. Okay, I had a bunch of people who wouldn't let me go once, and I really gotta go. Okay, like it's a health issue at that point. All right, if I gotta use the restroom, which by the way, I gotta go immediately when it hits break, but let me use the restroom first, and then I'll come back and answer questions. Okay, it is my break time too. I am entitled to. This one doesn't really matter too much, but for food, if there's a lunch and dinner break for some of the classes. Sometimes people expect me to stay during the food break to help them out. It's my lunch and dinner break too. Like by law, I am entitled to a 1 hour lunch and dinner break due to like the amount of hours I'm teaching. So if you do have like questions, just, please let me have my break. Yeah. In the beginning of class, okay, so I don't mind if y'all want to talk to me in the beginning of class, but if I'm like really busy, just let me set up. Okay, like I can't answer questions. Like sometimes like people are like, oh, I need help with this right now. And I'm like in the middle of setting up and we only got like 3 minutes before class starts. Like, let me finish setting up first. Okay, everybody here is an adult. I don't think anybody here is like under 18 years old, right? Like y'all should be able to handle your own things. If your computer doesn't work, go to another computer first. Okay, if you want to try to troubleshoot it, that's fine. But like, if you need me to help you with something, just make sure that it is at an appropriate time where I'm not doing anything. Don't ask personal questions, personal grade. Okay, I said this yesterday. If you have a question about personal stuff, you have to talk about it with me privately. Okay, I had someone who wanted to talk about this was a long time ago. Basically, it was a cheating situation, and they wanted to talk about it in class over Zoom with everybody in there, and everybody could hear about the possible cheating situation they were in. And then I had to stop them and be like, "Hey, I can't answer any of your questions. Like, if you really want me to answer the questions while you talk to everybody there, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to put my foot down and tell you all the CSUF policies." But if you have a real personal matter and you need to tell me about a situation to hopefully get, I don't know, maybe an extension or something like that, you got to talk about that with me privately. Okay. Because like those things are for private matters only. Like if you're going to announce it to the class, everybody's going to know. And my answer is really just going to be no most of the time. Okay. Like publicly at least. Ditching class is not allowed. I already talked about it. Don't ditch class. And also video recordings on managed. I have to put this here. I already mentioned this yesterday, but I get some students who think that like they're entitled to the video recordings. I post them every Sunday, okay? If I don't post them, you're welcome to like remind me, but please don't like treat it as if like I owe everybody it. It is your responsibility to take notes in the class. It is your responsibility to ask questions and like set appointments with me and ask for help if you need it. Okay. They will come when they come. If they don't come, if you don't see them on Sunday, just email me. Just email me nicely. Just say, hey, Jesse, like I was wondering when the recordings will be up. I noticed they haven't been up yet. And I'll just tell you the situation. Oh, they'll be up like tomorrow. I'm sorry, I forgot. But they should usually be up by Sunday, the latest. But I do need everybody to sign this. It is one of those negative credit things. I cannot give you a grade for the class unless you sign this because it is just part of the policies. But anybody have any questions about this? Awesome. Okay. Let's see. What time is it? 1:16. Perfect. Okay, so that's gonna go in here. So you can submit it over here and download it here. Okay. I need to go over project 2 with y'all really quick because y'all need time to think about project 2 and y'all need time to like start thumbnailing it too. Okay. I think I mentioned this like yesterday, but this class in the summer is like freaking intense. Okay, like literally, like I have to teach y'all Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, and y'all have to be able to like make vector art and like some sort of digital illustration knowledge, like at the end. Usually I get 8 weeks to do each of these, but y'all only get 2.5 weeks for each of them. So it is going to be kind of intense. Okay, so I want to give you a heads up. It is like a little bit boot campy. But I need to go over project 2 with y'all first so that y'all kind of know like what to think about. And then from there, like we're gonna start doing the exercises, and I would like y'all to work on thumbnails like early on too, so that way it's not, you're not just doing thumbnails for the last 2 weeks, right? Okay, so this is the only other project in class, okay? But before we start, anybody have any questions? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so really quickly, y'all. So this is the second project in class. It'll be due on the very, very last day. Actually, it's on not even on the very last day. Oh, it is. Okay, very last day, Thursday, right here. So on Thursday, okay, project 2 is due. And this is project 2. So for project 2, y'all are going to be doing an environment concept art piece. Really quickly, how many of y'all want to be concept artists or visual developers? Oh, nice. Okay. How many of y'all want to become like merchandising artists? Some people. Any technical illustrators, graphic designers? Cool. Okay. Animators? Nice. Storyboard or comics? Excellent. Okay, awesome, awesome. We will dabble and talk about these things a little bit because we have to go over the 9 fields of illustration. But for the vector part of class, we're going to be doing stickers, and for the digital painting part of class, we're going to be doing environment painting. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go over this. So for those of y'all who don't know, we're going to be doing a environment concept art painting. So what is concept art? Okay, so if you've never seen concept art before, concept art is illustration that's intended to sell an idea or a concept of a character, environment, or prop, usually in a cohesive imaginary world used for visual storytelling. So art directors and concept artists will do tons of iterations and work together to come up with the perfect story look and feel. And concept art is mostly sketching and coming up with iterations, with the exception of some finished renders. Okay, so concept art is multiple steps. Okay, it's the step where you're coming up with ideas. It's the step that you're doing iterations. And there's also a step where you finalize your ideas. Okay. And depending on your company that you're in, like a bigger company or a smaller company, sometimes you're doing the whole process. Sometimes you're just doing one part of the process. Okay. Like how many of y'all know that? Did y'all know like Disney and bigger companies have a colorist position? Have y'all heard of that? Right? Like their only job is just to think about color. But if you're working at a smaller company, usually you're required to wear more hats because they don't have people who are specialists to do those things, right? You become more like a generalist, right? Now, the goal of a concept art piece is to create a well-crafted idea or concept that should tell us everything about the idea and story through the way it's designed and composed to look. So here's the thing about illustration, y'all, and we'll talk about this next week, is that when you look at someone's illustration, if you can't describe to them exactly what they were thinking of, they failed at their illustration. So if you're like, hey, that looks like a dog wearing like a hat, but it's supposed to be like a cat wearing like a scarf, then your idea did not read clearly across. Okay, illustration and concept art should be incredibly clear to the point where we don't need to clarify or explain any further. Anyone have any questions so far? Nice. Okay. So there's three different kinds that I want to categorize it into: character design, environment, and props. Character design is designing a character's visuals, abilities, personalities, clothing, trinkets. Character design can also be creature design too, I would say. Environment design is like in designing a setting or environment. Like you're usually like implementing culture, weather, seasons, landscapes, biomes, things like that. Mood, right? That's really, really important. Prop design is designing like the actual objects in the scene. Now, everybody here should learn how to do prop design. Okay, or almost everybody. Okay, if you're doing some sort of like visual storytelling, whether it be concept art, whether it be a children's storybook or whatever, you should learn how to design props. Okay, everything is props. Environment design is just still lives, but the still lives are just buildings and trees instead, right? Those are props. Character design, you got to design clothes, you got to design apparel, all that. You got to learn how to make props for everything. Okay, if you become a good prop designer, it helps a lot in these other like designs over here. Anybody have any questions so far? Nice. Okay, so here's some examples of character designs here. So as a character designer, you'll be designing the front view, back view, all the little ornaments. You write little notes over here. Sometimes you'll be doing finished illustrations too. So again, it's multiple stages. Character turnaround sheets, expression sheets, poses. More over here, a portrait, front and back. Now, the point of a character design or the point of a concept artist is to create references, finalize references that other parts of the pipeline can use. Like 3D modelers can use this to help them model, right? Storyboarders or other illustrators can use these to help them stay on track for the design and style, right? So it's really important to make sure that we have our concept art so that way everybody is on the same page and they understand what the idea of the company or the product, what the idea of the product is, right, that the company's trying to make. So different like effects, different attacks, hairstyles. In the early stages of concept art, you may be doing a lot of iterations here. So this is like silhouettes for characters. Anybody know how many like thumbnails or iterations does it take to, on average, to make a original idea? Hella is a good number. Good answer. So the answer is around 30. Okay. On your 30th iteration, not guaranteed, but around 30, you should be able to make something if you've been doing a lot of variations. Okay, so if you're just doing like hand is up here, now hand is down here, now hand is over here, that's not really doing good iterations. Okay, at this stage, early on, you should be doing the most variation and diverse variations. So the most diverse variations of each other. But once you hit about 30, you will probably make something that nobody has ever seen before, or it's very, very like, it's like very little have like made something like this. Okay. It doesn't guarantee it's a good design. It just guarantees that it's something more unique, right? So over here, we have our iterations. You pick like a couple, you refine them, and then you pick your favorite and finalize, right? More over here, different expressions, different blankets, different rocks and positions. In concept, have y'all know like in how many of y'all have never how many of y'all have never ever done logo design before? Okay, so if you've never done logo design before, and for my graphic designers and logo design people, you can like vouch for me on this. Most of the time, from what I remember when I'm working with clients who want to make logos, we don't just make like 4 or 5 logos and like move on from there. We make like a whole bunch of logos. And they're all really, really small, and there's a bunch of thumbnails, right? We're literally trying to make a whole bunch of quantity and then choose the best from the quantity. Okay. It's the same for concept art. In concept art, even if the art looks, because all these are nice illustrations, right? It doesn't matter if it's nice. What matters is, does it work for what we're trying to do, right? So a lot of times you would be coming up with tons of ideas only to have like maybe the one that you don't like get picked just because that's the one that works best for like the outcome, So it's really about testing a lot of things. So I like One Piece, got to put a One Piece one. So you can see like little color codes, notes. Why do y'all think they write notes on here? Anybody know? What's up? Yeah, better communication. You got to give this to your storyboard artist. You got to give this to 3D modeler. They don't know what color it is. Well, it's right here. What does it say here? There's notes that tell you what these are supposed to say, right? It's to help with consistency. Okay, if you're doing concept art and you write notes on your sheet and you put it in your portfolio, that looks great because it shows that you're thinking about the idea. So this is one that I made over here. So you can see like color schemes, like tests, finalize. I made this character over here too. And once you've done making a character, you can act, or once you're done making a design, you can throw it into your environment or your scene and make an illustration out of it. Anybody have any questions about character design? Awesome. So environment design. So different environments, and there's different styles, y'all. There's really no set style on concept art, but there is a set style on products. So for example, like if you're going into like video games, think about your video games. Indie video games, there's AAA video games, and then there's like maybe like competitive video games, right? And there's like 3 styles, very like cartoony, semi-realism, so like that Overwatch, like what is it, League of Legends sort of style. And we got realism, which is like Call of Duty or like what is it, Uncharted, things like that, right? Like for those ones, like you have to go with that style because like that's what the companies are looking for. But concept art in general has no style. It's really like more of a product and a technique. It's the ability to come up with ideas, right? So this is a 3D composite environment, whereas this is a hand-painted environment. So you can see you can do concept art in 3D also. So another one hand-painted. This one's more of a photo bash. Anybody know, who here does not know what a photo bash painting is? Okay, so a photo bash is basically when you take a bunch of photographs and you like Photoshop the parts you want out, and then you slap it together and Photoshop it into an environment. Okay, it's similar to like matte painting. So matte painting is when the way they used to do it is like, so pretend like I wanted to like draw a crater out here, but I wanted to film it like in a movie. I would use this window and I would use like, what is it, like paint, a certain type of paint for matte painting. And I would paint a crater in there. And then I would film through the window so it looks like there's a crater outside. Does that make sense what I'm talking about, y'all? Anybody like super confused? Oh, some people are a little bit confused. So let me show y'all really quickly. So it kind of sort of looks like this. So this is how they used to do it. So like they would film the hill and they'll paint these buildings on top. And then basically when they film through the glass, it looks like the buildings are on that hill. Does that make sense, y'all? Right? Okay, that's matte painting. Photo bashing is basically like using like photos to kind of matte paint. And that's the outcome that you get is something very realistic, something kind of like this. So That can be a really cool technique too. Now, for this assignment, you're not allowed to photo bash. Okay, so don't photo bash. I do like just fail you or take off a huge amount of points if that happens. So hand-drawn environments. This is from Zootopia. Spider-Verse. This is more graphic. It's like comic booky and very flat. So you see, there's not really a set style. The idea is to the idea of a concept art is to portray ideas. Another matte painting. Here's a good idea of how concept art usually goes. Like in concept art, you usually I think one big misconception in concept art is that you try to do all of the concepts in one go. Like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna design 10 compositions of environments and then design my buildings in those compositions already. Usually in concept art, we actually design all the buildings separately and all the stuff separately, and then we put it together in the composition. So that way every individual piece is well designed, and then we can throw them into very well designed compositions. So a lot of times I'll draw placeholder compositions and I'll replace those objects in my composition with the props that I designed later. Does that kind of make sense, everyone? Kind of, yeah. So kind of like this, like you see all these buildings and then all these compositions on the bottom, right? They just grabbed their favorite one over here, like probably like this one, and then they just implemented these buildings, like make this. Now, there's also references. Why do you think you want references up here? Anybody know? I'll give you all a hint. I have to pretend I have to give this to 3D modeler. What does the references help with? Dominic?
Just being more specific about textures and general forms and stuff, because sometimes concepts can be a little sketchy.
Yeah, exactly. Drawings are not perfect, right? So the only other way to make sure that people don't get confused is just to make sure that there's more guides. You see, it's not really about trying to make the most beautiful picture. Sometimes, I mean, a lot of times it just comes out that way, right? But it's not really about that. It's about making a clear and aesthetic idea that fits the product that you want to implement it in. So here's some examples of prop iterations for focal points, right? So if you want to do a building, you can do different buildings. Some lighting variations. And you can see over here, you can do your compositions, you can do your focal points, and then you can implement it into a scene. For this one, they did a whole bunch of pillars and buildings, and then they made different environments with it. And these are examples of color schemes over here. So you can see different color tests to show different times of day or different seasons, right? Anyone have any questions so far? Yes. Mm-hmm. It's okay to do it in general. Yeah, I would say as long as you're creating new art with it, you can kind of think of it like collaging, but with photos to create stuff. So it inherently has to be something new. I mean, if you're basing it off in Paris and it's supposed to be Paris, you could probably grab the Eiffel Tower and stuff and remake your own version of Paris. But if you're making something completely new, you just want to make sure you're not grabbing other people's actual made for example, I wouldn't want to grab artwork from Avatar and then make photo bashes with it, unless it was so abstract you couldn't recognize it anymore. Otherwise, you want to use your original photos, or you want to compile the photos to create something that is original in general. But yeah, you usually do it for movies, and you don't do it for video games as much. It's usually a movie thing because it's meant to be a background that they animate on top of usually. So it's a background painting, but really realistic. That's the best way for me to put it. Hopefully that answered your question though. That was a good question. Any other questions? Nice. Okay. So another one here. So side view, right? Tower. It even has a close-up of how the tower looks. It has the topology. So it shows you what the map looks like on the top. Y'all see that, right? And then references, and then they made an environment. Prop design. Before we jump to prop design, anyone have any questions on environments? Yes. Oh yeah, that's fine with me. Unfortunately, I don't teach 3D here, but for those of you who know 3D, you're welcome to do 3D composites to make like thumbnails and like block-ins first. And then later you can upload them into Photoshop and you'll have like all your perspective and stuff in there already, you know. But only if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, just stick to what you know how to do, y'all. Which by the way, I know this is a very difficult thing to do. I'll go over it a little bit more later, but what is it? I'm under the impression that this is like some people's first time digital painting. So like, don't worry if this is like overwhelming. Okay. Like we're here to like learn these things. Great question though. Hopefully that answered your question. Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions? Nice. Okay. So this is prop design. So for prop design, it's really important because you have to design props. Okay. One really big thing I want to go over, y'all, and this is like something I would write down. I wish I knew this earlier. Your concept art should look cool. Okay, I know it sounds like so easy and obvious, but okay, if I ask someone to draw a building, if I ask a group of people to draw a building, okay, or if I ask y'all to draw a building, would it just be another box with a roof on it, or would it actually have engineering and shape design and form design and embellishment? Right? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Like your props should look interesting. Your props should look embellished. Your props should be cool. Like if your main focal point is a statue, that has to be a really damn cool statue. Like if your main focal point is a tree, what about that tree is so special? Because if it's just a green leaf tree with like wood that's brown and it's simple textured, it just looks like any other tree. It might not look as cool as like a tree that has like all these different colors and maybe crystals are growing out, or maybe like there's like engravings or like it's a glowing, or give it something that makes it interesting. Okay, think about what makes it look cool. If your props don't look cool, then your whole image is not going to look that cool in general. Okay, but that's the thing. It's like just think about cool factor. But for prop design, I like to start off with flats. So for those of y'all, when you're designing props, never design it or try not to design it in 3D first. Try to design it in 2D because it's way easier to draw it without perspective and you can focus on making interesting shapes. Once you have it in 2D, take it to 3D without perspective. This is called isometric view. So it's where like all of these diagonals are parallel with each other. They don't converge, okay? You can take it to isometric, then you can take it to perspective. Does that kind of make sense, y'all? Like it's a lot easier that way. So that way you don't have to think about perspective as much because I don't know about y'all. I actually like perspective, but perspective is also very tedious, right? So if you have to focus on fixing so many things, you're going to lose some of the energy you could be putting into creative value, right? That creative value is going to go all into just fixing. And when that happens, you're going to be focused more on fixing than making something cool. So focus on the design first. And once it looks good, then bring it to its technical, like advanced like version, right? So different props here, different flats, refined props, color. You see flat, flat. So they did silhouettes for shape first, then they did the details, then they did it in quarter view, then they did this. Oh, really quickly, y'all. When you're doing, I'm not saying that this is boring, this is a cool prop, but when you choose a prop, and this is for your own like safety when you work with a client, don't show them something that you don't want them to pick. Okay, like don't show them something you don't want them to pick. Like for example, and also don't show them other ones that are cooler than the one that you picked. Okay, I actually think like there are more interesting ones here than this one, but this person ended up making it pretty cool at the end, so it's okay, but there's some really interesting ones here. Also, like if you have a reason for choosing one, let your client know. Just be like, hey, like I know you like this one, but it just doesn't fit with like the animation we're trying to do. Like it's too busy if you put it in that background. You like let them know because factual evidence is always more, and clarity is going to be more important than just doing it because you feel like it, right? So here's another prop layout here. So you can see like for what is sub area? I think this is a game. For bigger props, you're going to have to design a lot. So over here, this is like a tree house along with like the interiors, the ladders, all that stuff. For these ones over here, like this like zombie swing, like you can see like all the intricate details of like the ornament, like the ornamental design, the top view, the side view, the zombies, the spray paint, what they're inspired by. More over here. So prop design is quite important, y'all. If you want to make cool environments and you want to have, or even cool characters, you have to make sure your props look cool too. So that way, like, you know, it's not, that way, like, your design just isn't flat, you know? One of my friends, he's really good now, but his biggest issue before was, so he's an amazing figure painter, okay? I guarantee if anybody is in the class with him and we have to copy a figure in front of us, he would be one of the top 3 always. But whatever we did concept art together, his concepts were the most boring. It's like really, really realistic. Blank shirt, blank pants, no pockets. No, it's just wrinkles. Imagine if you just wore like pants with no texture, clothes with no texture, no pocket. It's just literally just like basic shapes with wrinkles. Like that's what all his characters look like. It was literally just like really realistic characters with like really, really boring props. Later on, he took a class on prop design. He now knows how to make armor. He now knows how to design jewelry. He now knows how to design apparel. And now he's like focusing on like medieval like fashion. So like he knows how to design all the little like things that go inside of the patterns. Like that's what y'all want to do with your concept art. That level of like research, that level, and you don't have to do that for every show. Like I don't think like a Nick Jr. show is going to be like as crazy as like, I don't know, like the next Avatar or the blue Avatar, right? Or like something like that. Like that took like what, 10, 15 years to make, right? But like, but in general, okay, you want to make sure that you are thinking about those things because if you know how to concept art is not just about making stuff cool, it's a little bit of engineering too. Okay, you got to understand the backstory and the reasons why they do this in order to design these things. And you also have to find a way to make it aesthetic. Anyone have any questions before we go over the instructions? Awesome. Okay, so sorry, it says project 4, but it's project 2. So for project 2, the guidelines. So really quickly, y'all, you're going to do a finished rendered environment concept art piece with iterations, sketches, and references. Okay, you're only allowed to use Adobe Photoshop. The minimum, okay, I don't care what the size is, just the minimum size is 8x8. If you want to make it bigger, that's fine. Okay, but 8x8, 300 DPI is the smallest size. I recommend 11x17 or 8x16. 8x16 gives you a 1:2 ratio, and that's usually standard for film. So if you're doing animation or film, you might want to do this at a widescreen ratio, so that way it fits that. Otherwise, I like 11x17 or 8.5x11. Anybody know why 11x17 or 8.5x11? They're standard print sizes. I don't have to cut them. I don't have to, if I want to start selling them, I can print them and start selling them. You know, whenever I have to do custom cutting, too much money and too much time. You know, okay, so stylization is welcome, but no photo bashing. Photo texturing is okay. I will show you how to photo texture when we do digital painting. Anybody have any questions so far? Awesome. For the sketch work, here's what I want. I want 5 flat iterations of your focal point. So if your focal point's a castle, 5 castles. If your focal point is a character, and you can have a character in an environment, then 5 versions of that character, okay? If you're really set on your character, then change like the clothing or something, okay? Like you can do that. I want afterwards 10 compositional thumbnail iterations of your environment. Okay, so that's where you like decide where the foreground, midground, background is and all that stuff. If you want to use placeholder objects first to do your compositions, that's fine. I know some people just do like squares, triangles, and circles, and they like just replace them later. That's fine with me. Okay, but 10 thumbnails total. You're going to pick your favorite 2 out of the 10 and refine them with values. And then you're going to do 3 color schemes from your favorite one. Okay, if you count all 5 iterations with the 10 compositions and the 2 refined and the 3 color schemes, you should have 20 separate sketches total. Anybody have any questions? Awesome, awesome. And then 3 mood boards as usual. So similar to like project 1. Let's see. And here's like, what is it? 5% off for each one missing, 2 points off for each missing sketch. So examples again of the mood boards. And these are just ways I like to do my rough thumbnails. For your rough thumbnail, oh, by the way, for time management, start sketching now. Start finding reference. Y'all don't need to wait for me to teach you how to use Photoshop to come up with your idea. Okay, you can come up with your idea in your sketchbook, and when we learn how to digital paint, your sketch can be ready by then so that you can start digital painting. Okay, but come up with your idea early because this is I usually give my students 4 to 5 weeks for this, but we really only got like 2.5 weeks. Okay, but what is it? When I do my sketches, these are different ways. The ones on the left are a little bit more refined. The ones on the right are less refined. So I don't care if your sketches are really rough, just make sure that they're readable. Okay, like if I look at them, they shouldn't just only look like scribbles. Like I think like this is as scribbly as I'll like kind of allow it, which are like these two. And at this one, you can still kind of tell like there's like a city in the middle, there's like a river around it, right? Like if it's like we can't tell what it is, it's too sketchy. Okay, you need story, okay? You need to have story in this. So like what's the genre? Dark fantasy, dystopian, what time era? Is it World War II, Edo Japan, Aztec? What's your mood? Sad, happy, dark? You need to have story, okay? I had a student once who literally just painted Cal State Fullerton and turned that in. That's not concept art. That is an outdoor painting. That is a plein air painting. Okay, you need to have story. Okay, implement it. All right, if you really want to use Cal State Fullerton as an example, what's happening? Are there meteors falling in the sky? Is there like a lab accident and like all this monsters coming out? Maybe one of the like students or teachers like mutated after because there was a chemical explosion. Like make story out of it. Okay. And if you want to avoid copyright, just change the elephant we have to something else. Right? So here's a quick sample submission. I'm also going to give you all a sample submission on the Google Drive. That should be uploaded by Monday. So this is a final submission. So a PSD and a JPEG. PSD is your Photoshop file. Here's your sketches. So at least 5 props and also 10 compositional, 2 refined with values, and then at least 3 color schemes. You don't have to do this. I just added this here to fill up space. But at least a total of 20. So 5 props, 10 roughs, 2 refine, and then 3 color schemes. Anyone have any questions? Yes. I recommend for your sketches, put it together as a layout. In a bit, if I have some time, yeah, if maybe during break time, after I use the restroom, for those of you if you want to stay, and just like kind of like listen, I can show you a really quick portfolio, that portfolio to kind of like reference for that. But I know a person who does it really well. Great question though. Yeah, I would like put it in a layout. Any other questions? Okay. Tips for making your environment. Your idea is the most important thing. Composition's next most important. Come up with a good perspective. Stage your like composition, your angles, all that stuff. Skills and abilities. Make sure your idea is clear and like your work is polished. I'm not expecting everybody to come up with like a modern warfare concept art piece or like the next Zootopia like environment. Okay, like it doesn't have to be like at that level, but like I do expect everybody to try in a very professional manner and try your best. You know, like if you have to like simplify your style because it's hard to like paint on this, then simplify your style a little bit. Okay, find a concept art piece that you want to reference that is similar to the style that you want to achieve, right? Um, This is kind of similar to up here. I'll have you all read this on your own. One thing that is really important, though, I want to go over is do not confuse a character illustration with an environment concept art piece. Okay, the difference is that in character illustration, the closer the camera is to the character, the more it's about the character. The further away it is from the character, excuse me, I need to drink something. The further it is away from the character, the more it's about the environment. You can have characters in the environment and the character can still be the focal point of the environment. But if your camera is too close to the character, it is not an environment piece anymore. Does that make sense, y'all? Just think for my comics and like sequential art people, think of an establishing shot. It's basically an establishing shot. Okay, I got to show y'all some samples really quick. Anybody have any questions before I show y'all some student samples? Awesome. Okay, so here's some student samples here. These ones came out really cool. And you can draw it in line work too. Like you don't have, I'm going to be painting mine, but if you want to sketch yours out in line work, that's fine with me. This one's too busy. It's a nice render. Embellish. I like this one, but I think this part's too boring. Like this middle part. They could have added like lily pads and like flowers and all that stuff. Like make it look cool. Okay, look at this. Like these buildings are just boxes. So boring. It's a fun mood though. Texture is nice, but really boring prop. Really, really cool prop. Just very unbalanced composition. These two are the same size or very similar size. These two are very similar size too. But still a fun. This is one that I would say where like even though there's some mistakes, I think this is more interesting than like this over here because of like how everything is like just designed, you know? So again, finished, not perfect. It's okay to have these mistakes, but I always think like if you're gonna like aim for like a goal in artwork, it's better to make something that looks cool with a little bit of mistakes than like something that's perfect that's like really boring, you know? This one's really cool, really fun. This one's really cool. This one's nice, just a little bit empty in some parts. This one's cool. This mountain could be more interesting. It's like too boring. Like add some snow, adds texture, more texture. This one's cool. It's just over rendered a little bit. This one's nice, fun shapes. This one's fun. This person did like Starbucks, but for like ghosts and ghouls. This one's really nice too. Just don't blur your image, y'all. Blurring is a camera technique. That means that like when you blur stuff, you use it for photographs and you use it for like videos. The only time you blur an illustration is when you're trying to emulate a photograph or video, or maybe it's a stylistic choice. But in general, like if we want to like emulate the feeling of a photograph or video in our illustration, we use a blur instead of like a soft edge, you know? But over here, like it's too blurred. I think like it could have been sharper. This one's one of my favorites. Like they just like made their perfect, like their dream room. This one's cool, just a little boring in some parts. Could have more like details. No story, but beautiful painting. You lose a letter grade if there's no story. This one's cool. Scaling is weird, but really fun story. I love this one. I just wish the bunnies were the same style, but really fun perspective. By the way, if you have like, this one like has like very simple shapes too, right? But they make the shapes interesting with other things. Like there's texture and like little lights on it. So it's not that boxes are not interesting. It's you have to make something interesting about what you're designing, right? This one's really cool. This one's really cool too. The scales, this is kind of weird because like this red and this red are like very similar, but this is further away. This one's interesting. This is a good example of like how a character can be a focal point, but it's still environmental, right? The dragon is a part of the environment, right? I love this one. This one's one of my favorites. If I asked y'all to copy this drawing, do you think it'd be very difficult to like just do a line work for? Not really, right? It's pretty flat, right? There's not a lot of perspective. There's not a, this is like, so this is what I call simple and good is still good. Okay. You can make a very simple drawing, but it's embellished. Think about when you make a cake. It's the, it doesn't have to be the craziest shape for it to be a beautiful cake. It could be like a cylinder, it could be a cube. But like once you put that like sheet on top and you decorate it, right? Even if it's just a basic form, it looks amazing. You know, so embellish what you have, okay? If the composition looks good and the shapes look good, you just embellish it with color, text. I saw this like video. It was about clothes though. It was like, oh, if your clothing isn't interesting by color, it should be interesting by shape. It's not interesting by shape. It should be interesting by texture, right? It's the same for art. If your shapes are not interesting by actual shapes, the design, it should be interesting another way, maybe by color, maybe by texture. So make something about it that stands out. Okay, like that's the thing about embellishing your elements is like this is a good example of like it's very simple but very well embellished. So another one here. This is a cool prop. I don't know what it is, but it's interesting. I love this one. At first I thought it was just like all of us, but when during finals week. But I realized this person is obsessed with this, whoever he's drawing. You see that, right? The same person over and over again. This one's really cool. So for those of y'all interested, these are some like references you can check out. Skillful Huntsman is a really good book for my concept artists. If you ever need to buy a pitch packet, it's a pitch packet that y'all can actually like purchase and like reference. ArtStation for any sort of like concept art sort of like or digital illustration references or just artists to look at. Gumroad, if you want good tutorials, I like these two artists. It does cost money, but they have really nice tutorials. And for YouTube, I recommend watching these people. Anybody have any questions about this assignment before we what is it? Before we well, I have like a couple minutes. Maybe I'll show y'all the artist really quick. Anybody have any questions before I show y'all like the reference really quick? Okay, let me show y'all really quickly. Her name is Marie Stephanie Serja. I got to be in a class with her. She's a beast. Like, after week one, she already finished the project. Yeah, let me show you what she made. She made this. She posted it here. This is what she did after the first week. This is how concept art should be too. She did all of this. So all the buildings, all the flats. She showed this on her first week. The isometric view. She did the models, explorations for like the main building. This is like, if you want to get into the field, this is how it should look like. Everything we're doing in class is like a very light version of this. A very, very rough kingdom layout. Everything is thought of. And it's like inspired by, I believe, Middle Eastern culture and cats. So those are the two things that they kind of put together. And you'll see too, look at all the buildings. They have cat ears, cat paws, little like shapes designed in them that are very interesting. Even the patterns will have little cat shapes. But yeah, if you want to get into concept art, you should be looking at like her portfolio and like laying it out the way she has it laid out. The interiors for like all the parts, scratching posts, top view. Yeah, I don't know how she did this in a week, but I only had like my first 30 like roughs and like environment like thumbnail, like my focal points. I think she did this on the second week, this part. But you see, they even have the cats in there, how they sleep, how they climb up. Look at like the ropes on like the pole. They act like they're the engineering. Okay, the culture of it is like Middle Eastern. So a lot of the buildings are like inspired by Middle Eastern buildings, and like they have like little architecture in there. But the engineering is for cats. So they're turning some of these things into cat, as if cats lived in there. Yeah, this is supposed to be like a cat tower, but like as like a building, right? Yeah, really cool stuff. Yeah, hopefully that helped out. Anybody have any questions before we take a quick break? Okay, let's take a quick break. Let's come back at 2:10. Yeah, so about 12 minutes. And then when we get back, we're going to start Adobe Illustrator. Just a really, really quick heads up. If you have not started up Adobe Illustrator yet, give that a shot. Just go to the top right where the magnifying glass is, and then type in Adobe Illustrator and open it. You may have to log in and stuff, but other than that, yeah, if you're done with that, take a break and just come back at 2:10. Okay, I gotta use the restroom. Be right back. There we go. There we go. Illustrator 24. Good, yeah. Yeah, you should be able to. As long as it's the same one, you should be able to. Yeah, give it a shot. If it's still not, it's like, I'll let you know how to go. Yes. Sure. Yeah, for all. Yeah. Is that's a theme. So for example, if you want to do like Africa and the different things you do that. Or if you want to do like Africa, or maybe you want to do like Egypt. So you know it's up to you. But it has to be like the location and holiday plus like or yeah, you feel the architecture, so you like you can do like getting tours and then you say choose your favorite tours attraction, make this. Okay. Well, the second part of it, you know, I'm not too picky about that. The answer for a professional, the professional question answer usually yes. Like when a client asks you to do something, you tell them like 10 minutes. But like with this, like there's no real guideline on what the environment, so you can do it 10 minutes. Awesome. Ooh, any other questions? Awesome. There's something you have to suggest. Hey, here's Bert, what's up?
It's not make sure it's been
Sure.
so
Yeah.
Like I need to
That's totally fine. Yeah, cool. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. My pleasure. Anything else? Awesome. Awesome. We'll get started in a minute, y'all. All right, it's 2:10, so let's go ahead and continue. There's one more quick thing I need to go over with y'all. So in addition to like the stuff due on Monday, next Thursday, I would like y'all to have your first 10 compositions for project 2 done. Okay, so on Monday, we're going to vote on our favorite project 1 assignment, and on Thursday, we're going to vote on our favorite project 2 composition. Okay, so next week, y'all should have your basic compositions finished for both assignments. So that way, y'all can start moving over to like refining your sketches and things like that. And for your environment, you don't have to give your environment to me until the end of the semester. So just to kind of show y'all really quick. Sorry, this is wrong. That's spring. So for your environment, if you go to the top, it's due week 5 Thursday. This is the very last class over here. So any project 1 resubmission. So when you give me back project 1, you'll be able to resubmit. By the way, so I forgot to mention, for resubmissions, you have to get a 70% or higher. Okay. I used to allow any sort of score, but guess what happened? People were like, I'm just gonna bomb it and just retake it. That's super unfair to everybody who turned it in on time and actually did a good job. So there is a 70% like minimum requirement in order for you to resubmit for a better grade. Anyways, anybody have any questions on the project 1 due date, resubmissions, project 2 due dates? And you can submit your project 2 for up to 2 days late for like late credit, just like project 1. Okay, so next Thursday, I want your first 10 compositional thumbnails. I just want to show y'all from like a different class what that should look like. Oh, project 3. Sorry, there's going to be mixed projects in here. Yeah, I don't think this is the right one. Let's go over here. So yeah, it should look something kind of like this. So your first 10. Sorry, for this class, they had to do 2 projects at the same time. But you see your environments, just 10 compositions. These aren't environments. So these ones, 10 compositions. And also your mood boards. Anybody have any questions about like doing your environment sketches like for next week? Yes.
It's certain, the basic conversations.
Yes. So just a total of 10 drawings and then just like references after. Cool. Any other questions? That's a great question. Yeah, Cece.
First one, project 2.
Yes. So that way y'all should have a week to work on each of those thumbnails, and then y'all should be able to knock out all of your ideas like within the first like 2 weeks-ish. Cool. Great question. Any other questions? Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here I'll copy this one and like paste it in here, so at least there's like a sample of that, and you all know what to do for the reference boards. If you don't know what to do, just reference like the other like discussion board. There should be like reference boards there. The same thing. Okay. Let's see. So now that this is out of the way, and again, really quickly, y'all, you start working on the projects. Okay. Like I always have like 1 or 2 people that's like, oh, we didn't learn Illustrator yet, so like I haven't started. That's not a good excuse. Okay. Everybody here should be a senior or a junior of some sort, and everybody's taken traditional drawing classes, like probably their freshman or sophomore year. So y'all should be able to start these traditionally if you don't know how to use a digital program to come up with all your ideas. So that way, when you learn the programs, all you got to do is just focus on just tracing over whatever your traditional drawing is, right? Any questions before we jump into Adobe Illustrator? Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna jump into Adobe Illustrator. I want to give you a quick like heads up. I'm really sorry in advance, but I have to move kind of fast because we only got a couple weeks to work on this. But here's what I want everybody to do. So 2 things. I want you to go to the very top right. There should be a magnifying glass, and you're going to look up Adobe Illustrator. And then go ahead and open that. So when you see it, it should say AI. You should open that up. Anybody have trouble opening it? Okay, for some people, if you have issues opening it or if you have issues with your account, let me know. Okay, so very top right, Adobe Illustrator. And the second thing I want everybody to do is, so really quickly, if you go to the front page and you go to new downloads, there's one that says Summer 2024 AI packet. You're going to click on that, then you're going to click on this link and you're going to download the Adobe Illustrator packet. So go ahead and download it. And then I'm just going to go around and check up on everyone to make sure like everybody has it. But go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator and go ahead and download the packet. No need to open it yet though. We're going to play around with Adobe Illustrator. If you want to open it, you can just close it later. But yeah, I want to show you how to like make new files, like just the basic like tools first, and then we'll jump in and do the exercise. Anybody need help or anybody running into trouble? Awesome. And just so I know, who needs like a little bit of time to like open up the stuff and download? Everyone's good? Yeah? No, anybody need me to wait a little bit? Awesome. I'm not gonna always be able to wait a long time, but I'm going to like check up with y'all a lot. Okay. So if y'all ever need me to slow down, like just let me know. If I really can't slow down, I'll let you know I can't, and I'll just help you out during the break time. So just be just give me some time. We're gonna be moving a little bit fast, but I'll be here for y'all to make sure that everything is squared away. Okay. So if you want to play around with me, you can play around with me, but I want to go over the Adobe Illustrator interface. So really quickly, y'all, how many of y'all here have never touched Adobe Illustrator before? Okay, some people a little bit, some people have not. How many of y'all have never touched an Adobe program before? Okay, so everybody's dabbled in an Adobe program a little bit. Okay, that helps a lot. So it's very similar to most Adobe programs from the start. To kind of start off, like this is what you should see when you open it. On the bottom here is going to have all your recent files. A lot of y'all probably don't have anything there because there's no recent files, or it should show your cloud files. Okay, the way you can tell that they're cloud files is they have a cloud icon on the bottom right. So if you've used Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or After Effects or any of those before, and you open the programs, you should see your most recently opened files and or any sort of cloud files. You can go to the top bottom right over here to like change the different views. So middle right. And you can also type in the name under filter to look for specific files. Anybody have any questions so far? Nice. You can also sort oh, you have a question? No? Sorry, I like trip out sometimes. What is it? You can also change like the sorting over here. So recent, name, size, type. You can like go up or down. And over here on the left-hand side, you can make a new file by clicking this. You can open a file by clicking this. By the way, Adobe Illustrator files are AI files. Okay, AI files. So whenever you need to save in Adobe Illustrator, you save it as an AI. So if you need to open an AI, you can go there. Home and Learn, we don't really need to use that. But if you ever need to look at your cloud files, that's what these are here for. So any of your own cloud files, anything that's shared with you, and anything that's been deleted will be in these like folders. Anybody have any questions about, oh, I guess if you go to home, it just shows you everything. But anybody have any questions about this before we make a new file? Nice. Okay. If you want to follow along, make a new file. And when you make a new file, you should be presented with the screen that has a bunch of tabs on the top, a bunch of like boxes in the middle center, and options on the right. Now, just to kind of go over these really quickly, your first tab is going to be your recently used file sizes. So if you make a file, so I made a file, it's just loading right now, and I go and make a new file again, it should like save the file size like on here. You can also save templates, but I don't have any saved. And then the rest of these are just standardized templates. So if you need to use an iPhone 10 template, or if you need to go to like websites and use a website banner template here, or if you're doing it for like print, you know, like letter is 8.5 by 11. These are just all standard sizes. So they're all categorized here. So film and video, art and illustration. For this class, we're going to be working with print more. So you probably don't have to do as much of these, or we'd be making our own custom sizes, which I'll show you all in a bit. If you want to download a template to like put inside of the saved part, you can go to free templates and then you can click on these to download them. Or right here on the bottom right, it says download. Anybody have any questions about these tabs up here before we go over like the options and stuff? Yes.
My device is not.
That's weird. I had another person dealing with that too. How many of you are dealing with that? Okay. So here's what I would recommend to do. For the sake of homework, because unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time in the class. So like waiting for, y'all might have to message IT to fix that. But for homework's sake, what I would recommend to do is use the trial version first and just cancel before they start like charging you. So that way y'all can work on it this week. And then IT should finish like fixing it by the end. Let me show y'all like the email really quick if y'all want to like message them. But IT CSUF. There we go, Student IT Help Desk. So if y'all go to Student IT Help Desk, on the very bottom, there's an email. It just says Student IT Help Desk at fullerton.edu. Email them and tell them that you're in a summer class. Tell them you're in my class. And then just let them know that you need to use this immediately and that you need to get this fixed. And just let them know your Adobe Illustrator isn't working at school and at home. They should get it fixed pretty soon, and also keep me updated. If they take more than a week, I can give whoever needs, like, if they're taking more than a week, let me know so I can give you an extension. Okay, because like this is like the school's fault, not like the student's fault, you know. But yeah, I'm so sorry about that, and hopefully that helped out too. At the moment, probably not. If you have a separate device and you wanted to like download it on there and like do a free trial, it will probably work for today. But unfortunately, for those of y'all that happen to, unfortunately, this happens to a couple students every session or semester. So it's actually a pretty normal thing. But just like keep me updated. Like if it's taking more than a week or something, like let me know so I can give you all give the people who need that an extra week to like do the exercises. Yeah. Okay. Before I jump to any other questions, so really quickly, y'all, over here. So if you want to like, so let's just say you go to print, okay? If you choose on these, they'll change the sizes on the right. You see that, right? But if I want to do a custom size, I just go to the right-hand side and I can like change it to whatever I want. So for example, let's change the unit of measurements here. Let's go inches. And I want it 11 by 17. So I'm going to type in 11 by 17. You can change the orientation over here. Artboards. Artboards are pretty interesting. If you press create, this is an artboard, like this white box. So if you create 2 of them, you now have 2 of the boxes. You see that, right? You can also delete artboards later. I'll show you how to do that. Now, going back over here, so just want 1. You can add bleeds over here. Bleeds are really interesting. So bleeds are basically like, y'all know how like when you print out a piece of paper and it's like filled in, it always leaves like that white border, right? Bleeds are basically an area that you plan to print on top of, that you plan to cut off, so that way you don't have the white border. So you basically like extend your picture to the bleeds, and then you cut them off, and then there's no white border. So just to show you all that really quickly, if I make a 0.25-inch bleed and I press create, it will be basically what it means is like I have to make my picture up to the size of the red, but like I'll be cutting off like the parts where it starts to like become white. You all see that, right? So it's just basically telling me like which parts are going to be bleeding off of the paper. Anybody like super confused on the bleed guides? It's a little confusing until you start printing, but in general, like just know like this is where you add bleeds. Um, color mode. Okay, this is where you choose your color mode. We're mostly going to be using like CM. Well, if you're gonna, okay, how about this? Who knows the difference between RGB and CMYK? Like the general difference. Dominic.
RGBs for screens and the other one is like more important. I think.
Yes. Okay. If you're doing prints, you got to start with CMYK. If you're just doing it for uploading on like a computer, website, or TV, you can do RGB. Okay. If you plan to print your project one, put it at CMYK. If you don't, then just put it at RGB. You can change it later, but you can, when you change it to from RGB to CMYK or from CMYK to RGB, it's okay to change it once. It might change the colors a little bit, but you can't change it back a second time. Okay, so that's just kind of good to know. All right, and it's usually a little bit safer, from what I remember, to go from what is it? CMYK to from CMYK to RGB, it does not mess up your colors as much because there are less colors used in CMYK. You know, so just be mindful. You don't want to keep switching back and forth. So make sure you know what you want to do in the beginning. Raster effects. Raster basically means that you're turning something from a vector into a pixel image. If you plan to rasterize something, like this is where you choose the resolution. I would always have this at 300. That's just like a standard I would put it at. And I actually don't know what preview mode does, so I'm not going to talk about that. Anybody have any questions before we jump in a little bit more? Okay, here's what I want y'all to do. If you want to mess around with me, can y'all go to print, go to letter, and then create a letter file? So go to print, letter, and then create a letter file. Anyone still need to work on that? Excellent. Okay. So when you create a file, this is what it looks like. This white box is called a artboard. So really quickly before I begin anything, I want to teach y'all a couple things, okay? So first and foremost, y'all, this is the Adobe Illustrator interface. On the left-hand side are your tools. On the right-hand side are settings. And on the top, these are going to be like your tabs, okay? There are two things I want to teach y'all first. First and foremost, and by the way, so you can like close your tabs. You can like make them windows. You see, right? You can put them back in. They just work like tabs. But really quickly, okay, the first two things I want to teach y'all is if your Illustrator ever messes up, if you're on a Mac, you have to go to Illustrator on the top and go to settings. If you're on a PC, you're going to go to edit and then preferences. But it doesn't say that because it's a Mac. So PC is edit and preferences. Mac is Illustrator and settings. And I want y'all to go to general. So Illustrator, settings, and then general. Anyone still need to click on that? Okay, so y'all see on the bottom right over here, it says reset preferences, right? Anytime we don't know how to fix it, that includes me, just reset the preferences. It will reset it to factory default settings. Otherwise, if you want to change your interface, you can change it here. So if you want the units of measurement change, if you want the color of your guides change for specific reasons, you can do it all in the preferences. Anybody have any questions on preferences before we go over interface, like the interface settings? Okay. So really quickly, I want y'all to watch this part. You all see on the side, I have these little tabs, right? And you all see on the left-hand side, I also have like this like toolbar here, right? You can actually move these around and customize them. Oh, shoot, mine's gone. So you can actually like move these around and customize them. So if I want to like push this like on the side, I'm going to move it on the side. And you see how like this blue line appears on the left, right? If I like slap it onto the blue line, it'll attach it to the left side. And I can even stack it on top, you see, and make my own like interface layouts. And if you ever close any of them, you can go to Windows and reopen them. So I close my layers. So let's go ahead and reopen layers. There we go. And now I can like move these around. And I can even like close I can make it smaller with this little arrow. Anybody have any questions on that? We're good? Okay, let's just say you let your little cousin play with your computer and they like mess it all up. So, oh no, Jesse's cousin. Geez, what did you do? I don't remember Illustrator looking like this. If you want to fix your Illustrator interface, you're going to go to Windows, Workspace, and then Reset Essentials. So Windows, Workspace, and then Reset Essentials. So go ahead and like mess it up a little bit and then reset the essentials. So I'll give you all like a minute. Just like move things around and then reset it. So anytime like your interface gets messed up, that's kind of how we fix it. Anybody have any questions or need me to help out with anything? Unfortunately not. There are outlets in the actual thing, but we're not allowed to take it out because I have an IT guy. It's like kind of like, well, I guess we did it once. We got to get that. Okay. So if you haven't reset essentials yet, this is what it does. Boom. It's all now back to the way it was. Anybody have any questions before I talk about the next thing? Okay, if you have a phone or even notes, take this next part down because this is going to be something you have to know for the class. It's absolute. Okay. Okay, so if you go to Windows and you go to Workspace, they actually have different workspaces. For our class, we are using Essentials Classic, not normal Essentials. So go ahead and select select Essentials Classic instead. When you click on it, slight things are going to change, but it's going to be a lot better than just normal essentials. Yeah, that's really important because like it turns on and off one of the interface things that most people have trouble turning on. Anyone still need to click on this? We're good? Awesome. Okay. So when you turn it on, you should get this little bar on the top. That's basically what it's for. Okay. Really quickly, y'all, let's go ahead and go over some tools. Anybody need me to wait for anything or anybody need help with anything before I go over some basic tools? Okay. First thing I want everybody to do is everybody should see something kind of like this, right? If you hold space bar, you can move your like image around, click and drag. And to zoom, you're going to click the little magnifying glass on the left-hand side, and you can zoom to click the zoom. Or if you hold Alt Option on a PC, it's Alt to zoom out. So you can zoom in, zoom out, and then move around. So go ahead and try that out. I'll give you all like a couple seconds. Just zoom in and out. The shortcut key for zooming is Z. Z for zoom. So if you're lazy or you want to learn the shortcut keys, you can press Z and it should give you like a magnifying glass. Anybody still need play around with the zoom and stuff? Okay, let me show y'all something really quick. Let's just say you zoom in too much like this and you're like, oh no. Anytime I zoom in and out, it's just all the same color. What do I do? If you're having trouble zooming in and out, you'll see the little hand or you'll see the little magnifying glass over here where the zoom is, right? Just double click on it and it should like zoom you out to where it's supposed to be. And if you double click the hand, it centers the image. So double clicking these two things will basically bring you back to its original zoom. Anyone have any questions on that? Awesome. Okay. Y'all see this line tool here, right? I want you to go ahead and click on the line tool. It should say line segment. If you don't see it, it might be one of these other ones here. So go ahead and click on the line segment. And once you've clicked on it, I want y'all to just make a couple lines. And if you hold shift, you should be able to snap it at 45 degrees. So just make a couple lines, maybe like 5. Just make 5 lines, different sizes. We're going to delete them later. So, don't worry if they're not perfect. Anybody still working on the lines? Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, so this is the line tool. Okay, this is how you make lines. Later, we're going to use the pen tool, which will allow us to draw line work and create curves. Now, before I show you any of the other things, you all see on the top how there's a black arrow and a white arrow tool? You all see that, right? I want you to click on the black arrow tool first. And what you should notice is the black arrow tool allows us to move, transform, and rotate objects. So if I click on this, it allows me to like scale things bigger and smaller. And allows us to rotate objects. So go ahead and click on a couple of your lines and then scale them. Now, if you want to select more than one line, you can hold shift to select more than one line. And you can also, you see if you scale them, see that, right? But if you rotate them, if you hold shift and you select them again, it'll deselect them. So shift is select and deselect. Anyone have any questions? Anyone still need to play around with it? Okay, I want everyone to watch this. This is the easiest way to select because like, how many of y'all feel like sometimes it's hard to click on like something really small, like a line? Like you keep clicking on it, but it clicks on the wrong thing, right? The easiest thing to do is when you click and drag, you make these little boxes. You see that, right? If your box touches something, it selects it. So if you hold shift and then you use the box again, it'll deselect it too. That's the easiest way to select things. Anyone have any questions on selecting with click and drag? Yes.
I'm having a hard time translating multiple objects at once.
Let me see. What do you mean by translating?
Oh, like if I wanted to move both of these, how would I?
Oh, that's a good question. So you have to actually click on the line, so on the black line. So like,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Oh,
and then you should move it. There we go. So that's a good question. So if you're having trouble, so let's just say select all of these. If you click on the space in between the lines, it just deselects them. You actually have to click on the object to move them around. So just make sure you're clicking on the lines. And then to delete, you can select them and press delete. Anybody have any questions? Okay, delete all your lines, and then I want y'all to grab the square tool, and you can also use the circular tools too. So you can right-click the square tool, and you should get a bunch of options, but go ahead and make like a square, a ellipse, and a star. So just one of each. So it should be right here, square, ellipse, and star. We're just gonna mess around with it. And it's okay if they're a rectangle, an oval, or like, just like make the 3 objects. Anyone still making the objects? Anyone need me to wait? Everyone's good? Okay, so really quickly, y'all, I want to show you another thing. So First and foremost, so if you use your black arrow tool again, you should be able to scale your boxes and stuff. You all see that, right? Now, for some options, you might get this little circle on the corner. This allows you to curve your corners. Anybody have any questions on that? Excellent. So if you wanted to curve your boxes, you could do that. You can also do that for the star. Oh, I don't, never mind. No, you can't. Oh, yeah, you can. You just got to use a different tool. But you should be able to do that on the star. I'll show you how to do that. But I want to go over the white arrow tool now. Okay. Now, I'm going to make a line here again just to show y'all, but the white arrow tool, so just kind of show y'all. So this program creates vector art, okay? And vector art basically is when you create something in Adobe Illustrator, vectors make it so no matter how much you zoom in, it never ever becomes blurry or pixelates. Y'all see that, right? It's always sharp. So anytime you need to print graphics on here, especially really, really big things, like Adobe Illustrator is the way to go because it can print it at any size you want. Even if I wanted to print this at the size of the earth, as long as I have a paper printer and enough ink and like space to do that, I could actually do it at maximum quality. You know, so it's a very powerful tool. Now, really quickly, when you are making vectors, first and foremost, this is a line, right? A line is created when we have 2D. So 1D is a point. You all see that, right? This is what we call an anchor point. An anchor point basically is 1 point. So this 1 point. If I click on another part, it creates 2 points and that becomes a path. That's what a line is. A line is when 1 point reaches another point and creates a path. A shape is when we enclose the path to create a perceivable area, right? And then the form is when we start to have dimensions, right? So that's the difference between 1D, 2D, and 3D. Now, in Adobe Illustrator, you have to know that this is an anchor point. And if you put your mouse over it, it'll say anchor in pink. This is an anchor point, and this is a line, and then this is a shape. Okay, so you have to know that. Now, the white arrow tool, what the white arrow tool does is it allows us to grab our points and move them around. So if you want to move your points freely, you can do that with the white arrow tool. And you can also select lines too. So if I click and drag through the line, it'll select these 2 points. How many of y'all have done 3D modeling before? Okay, Adobe Illustrator is just 3D modeling, but 2D. It's 2D modeling. That's the best way I can describe it. It's 3D modeling, but just with 2D instead of 3D. Okay, so you're moving around anchor points, moving around lines and shapes in order to create an image. Anybody have any questions about this? Okay, go ahead and use the white arrow tool and just kind of like mess around with these points, like click and move them, like just warp them around. I'll give you all like a minute or two to mess around with it. Don't delete them yet because I want to show you how to add color. Okay, after we're done adding color, we're going to start our exercises. So anybody have any questions? Or anybody like super confused? Awesome, awesome. Just let me know, yeah. I'll just walk around and check up on everyone. Yeah, just mess around with the white arrow tool. If you want to like review the black arrow tool, you can do that again. These 2 tools are the most important because like they're going to be kind of like they're like the bread part of your bread and butter. All right, looks like everybody's kind of messed with it. Yes. It's up to you. I just want you to mess with it. Oh, let me show you something. Let me just grab one of the corner. Okay, I want to show you how to add color, and then we're going to begin our exercises. So you all see on the very top left, or actually, let's go down here first. You all see like the swatches down here, right? Like there's like a slash, and then like kind of like a, I like to call it like a square donut. You'll see the square donut, right? Now, here's what's good to know. First and foremost, nothing is selected yet, so this means nothing. When you want to change the color of something, you have to select the object first. Okay, so I'm going to select the object, and then here's what I can do. Now, first and foremost, just so you all know how to read this, there are 3 buttons on the bottom here, and there are 2 swatch boxes. The first swatch box is your fill color. So if I click on it, it allows me to fill it in with the color. Y'all see that, right? Your second one is for your line work, so it changes the color of your lines. Anybody have any questions about it so far? Okay, also good to know, you see how when I click on them, they overlap each other, right? Whichever one I click on, it overlaps. You all see that, right? Whatever one I'm selecting is what it's affecting right now. So if you see that this is overlapping the other one, then that means that like if I change this to like any of these options down here, it's going to affect this over here. If I click this, it's going to change this swatch over here. Does that kind of make sense, y'all? So you can click on the swatch that you want to affect, but if you double click, you can change the color. Anyone have any questions so far? Okay, so just to show y'all too, y'all see how like on the bottom, there's like these 3 boxes, right? This box over here adds a fill. So if I click on this and I press this one, it's going to make it black. And then this allows me to change the color. If I want a gradient, I click on this to make a gradient. Don't use gradient. I have to, if you want to learn how to use gradient, I have to teach you. Okay, like, but I don't think we have the exercise for this summer session. But if you join us for the normal session, we do have a gradient exercise. But if you're interested, just set an appointment with me and I can go over it with you. The last one is no fill. So if you want to make something invisible, you do no fill. If you don't want it to be invisible, oops. If you don't want it to be invisible, then you want to turn on a fill. You see that, right? So invisible, not invisible. Anybody have any questions on like the fill and the stroke? So this is the fill and this is stroke. Okay, so here's what I want you all to do. Go ahead and just like play around with the colors. So change the colors of these, change the line work. Just learn how to change line work and color for now. And you can add a grade if you want to make it like invisible. And again, you see if I go to like, you see how if I click on this box and then I click invisible, it makes my line work invisible, not my fill. I have to go to my fill first and then click on that and then it will make my fill invisible. So make sure you select the right thing that you want to add color to or the right thing you want to take away color, right? Anyone have any questions or need help? Okay. Y'all doing clear? Yeah. Nice, nice. Good work, good work. And then the last 2 things I want to teach y'all on this really quick, because it seems like everybody's pretty ahead, is okay, let's just say I click on this. Y'all see this little switch button on the top? You can switch your fill and your stroke colors this way really quickly. And then over here, you see how, oh, actually, before we do that, you see on the very top, it says stroke. You'll see that, right? You can change the thickness of your stroke here. And then you'll see on the very bottom left, there's like this little tiny black and white box. It's like this box, but small for me. Y'all see that, right? If you click on that, it defaults it back to black and white. So go ahead and mess around with that. When you're finished, you can go ahead and delete these. And then I want to show y'all, I'm going to have everybody download the exercises, and then we'll get started on the exercises. Anybody have any questions? Do you need to review anything? Awesome. Just let me know. Yeah. But yeah, that's like generally like the base things that we need to understand about Illustrator before jumping in and doing anything. So the general interface, moving stuff around, adding color, making some basic shapes, lines, right? Okay. For those of y'all that are finished messing around with stuff, so their caps lock or something? Oh, no, it's no caps lock. Yeah, I just found out the person, the trainer guy who was supposed to show up at like our store, took himself off the schedule last night and then decided not to show up. Very unprofessional, by the way. It's like if you're managing a schedule and you can't show up, you got to inform your boss, or like you got to give them like a notice, like a couple days ahead of time. Because like all my employees did not get trained. I had to train them. That makes me very unhappy. Okay. All right. So for those of y'all who are ready, here's what I want you to do. If you go to summer 2024 and then you go to new downloads, by the way, it's all the demos I do today. I'm going to upload at class demos. Okay. But if you want to download summer 2024 AI packet. So you're going to click on that. And then afterwards, you have to click on the blue on the top. So that should download your file. Anybody need a moment to download this section over here? I just want to see so I can, and it's okay. If you need time, let me know. Because like, I'd rather have you all like get it downloaded and we move together than like move ahead and like, have you fall behind a lot. Anybody need time? Awesome. Okay. Now, when you download a file, so this is good to know too, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, but I just have to review this because some people don't know. You should receive a zip file, a zip file. On Illustrator, what you're going to do is just right-click it and then press extract. Okay, it doesn't have it here. For Mac, it's really easy. Just double-click it and it'll extract it. It should extract it in the same folder. You see that, right? For my Windows people, you have to right-click it, and then it should say extract files. Okay, that's important. You cannot really save into a zip folder. So if you like do it in a zip folder and you forget to save properly, you'll lose all your information basically. Okay. Anybody have any questions or need me to help them download this before we jump in? Anybody need me to go to their seat to troubleshoot? Okay. We're going to do these together. Yeah, we're going to do these together. Let's see. All right. I want everybody to open up all of these files here. So just go ahead and just like select them all. So I'm going to hold shift. I just hold shift to select multiple files. 1 to 5, right click and just open them. And the first one we're going to start with is like number 1 here. Here's what we'll do. Before we start these, since it's pretty close to break, when you're finished opening all the files, just take a break and then come back at like 3:05. So take a 10-minute break. Yes. Oh, you're good. Yeah, you can close that. Yeah, that's I think we have to upload that with the brushes to open area, so I think that's. In 305. So we get started in 2 minutes, y'all. We'll be starting off with this one here, so feel free to get yourself set up. We're gonna go out of order too. I might save the hardest one for last. And we might not finish all of these today, but we'll try to get as much as we can. Is Zella here? Oh, yo. All right, it's 3:05, so let's go ahead and continue. So for this first one, it's a really, really easy assignment. We're gonna go ahead and remake this. So here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I do it first, and then I want everybody to do it on their own, and I'll go around and help y'all. Okay. Some of these assignments we're gonna do step by step too. So I'll be like, step one, let's do this. Let's all do it together. Step two, let's do this. Let's all do it together. Some of these assignments I can't wait because it takes too long and it's really hard to do step by step. So I'll give you all the situation for each one. For this one, I want y'all to watch first and then we'll go ahead and attempt it. So really, really quickly, y'all, first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a box. Okay, and we're just gonna go ahead and make a box. I'm gonna hold shift, and it should make a perfect box if I hold shift. Afterwards, I'm gonna make a ellipse. And if you can't make the ellipse like the right size yet, just make the size first, and then you can like readjust it later. So you're gonna hold shift to like readjust it. Actually, how about this? Start off with the square and the circle. The triangle, I need to show everybody how to make the triangle. So make the square and the circle first, and then I'll show everybody how to make the triangle. Oh, by the way, I don't care what color you make them, so have fun with that. Want to do like blue, pink, orange? I don't care. Just make sure they're the same size and that they're separate. Like if you click and drag it over the middle one, it should cover it. And if you're doing it, like you should notice that like it snaps a little bit, like it'll snap into like the size and the shape of stuff. So make sure to use those snapping tools. Sorry, excuse me. Those are what we call smart guides. Smart guides are really helpful to kind of help you like align things in place. All right. I see that I was like walking around and most of y'all have gotten the square and the circle in. Um, Anybody need me to wait before I show the triangle? Okay, for triangle, can I have everybody go in and can I have y'all select polygon? So go to like the circle. You're gonna have to right click the circle and square, and it'll give you different options. Go ahead and do that and select polygon. Anybody still need to click on polygon? Okay, polygon, I want to show y'all really quick. Allows you to create a polygon. Y'all see that, right? Now, if you click and drag, it's going to create a hexagon most of the time. Instead, you're going to just click once anywhere. So I'm just going to click, and it's going to ask me how many sides I want. I'm going to press 3, and now it's a triangle. So go ahead and do that. Then you can resize it. Again, like if you're not sure, you can always do it on top of this too. So some students like to do, and then you can move it over after. And then for the last part, there should be a text box. You can use the text box, click and drag, and just type. It's a balancing act. I don't care if the text is the same. But on the very top over here, y'all see this bar, right? You can align your text over here, and then you can also make it bigger. Once you have something that kind of sort of looks like this, you're finished. Is there anybody who needs me to do any of the parts again or go to their seat to help them out? Perfect. Okay, and I want to show you how to save and upload your like homework assignments. Okay. Let's see. Anybody still need time to work on this one? Okay, so really quickly, 2 things I want to go over first. So to submit this assignment, this is all I need. Leave this on the side inside of the white box. Okay, I had someone who left theirs all the way over here before. Like, and when I opened it, this is all I saw. And then like, I was like, you didn't do your assignment. They're like, I did. Look, it's all the way up here. I gave them the points for it still, but I said if that happens again, I'm gonna have to take. I mean, I can't do that. like, come on. Can't tell if they're like trolling me or just like, or if they're serious. Make sure it's in here. Okay, and I want to show y'all what to do first. So you have to give me an AI and a JPEG. That's really important. I need both. Okay, if you're missing one of them, you will lose points. If you're missing your AI, you just get a 0. You have to give me your AI file. So really quickly, to save an AI file, I want everybody to go to File and then Save As. File, Save As. And I want to go over my naming convention with y'all. Anyone still need to click Save As? Okay, so you're going to save to your computer. If you want to save to your cloud so you can open it at home, you could do that. But again, just don't rely on cloud as like your primary source of like safety. Because like if you delete it from there or something happens or internet's not working, you're not going to be able to like retrieve it, right? So I'm going to save to the computer. Okay, this is the most important part to your naming convention. If you name it wrong, you get a 0, okay? I don't even care if you did it. You're going to put either your first name or last name first, and then your first name last. So for me, I'm going to do Pack_Jesse. If you want to do Jesse_Pack, that's fine too. But whatever you choose, that's what you're going to be naming all your files like in the future. They have to have the same heading for like the for your submissions. Now, y'all see where it says #1 challenging shapes balancing act.ai, right? Never, ever, 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 ever change my titles. Never. If it only says your name, then you get a 0. I need to have your name and then the title of the title of the file. The title of the file should never change. It should just only be your name in front of it, and that's it. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so you're going to go over here, go to AI, save it. It's going to ask you some questions. For now, you can just press OK. We'll go over that later. And when you're done with that, I need to show everybody how to save it as a JPEG. Anybody have any questions about saving so far? Anybody need me to wait before we save it as a JPEG? Okay, for JPEGs, you're going to go to File, Export, and then Export As. File, Export, and then Export As. Anyone still need me to wait to click on this? Okay, so when I click on it, it's going to ask you what you want. Go to the bottom, save it as a JPEG, press Export. It's going to ask you these questions. I like to put this on maximum, and then I like to put my resolution at 300. When you're done with that, just press OK. And if you did it correctly, the naming convention should be exactly the same. So it's, where is it? Oh yeah, it's right here. The naming convention should be exactly the same as your AI. So you all see that, right? So Jesse underscore pack, number one, challenge basically shapes balancing act AI. Jesse underscore pack, number one, same exact thing, .jpeg. Anybody have any questions about this? Okay, so here's how you submit your assignments, okay? So you see how we have two folders like this, right? One for Pen Tool Bootcamp and number two is Adobe Essential Tools, right? What you're gonna do, let's go ahead and go to, I'm trying not to rub my eye. Sorry. By the way, I'm like really health conscious and germ conscious. So I recommend don't rub your eye and do that stuff if you're using keyboards because so many people have touched these. It's like the fastest way to get pink eye. Okay. So we're going to go to homework file. Oh, we're going to go submit files here. Let's do that. Open submit assignments here in a new window. You're going to go to homework, Adobe Illustrator packet. Okay. In this folder, you have to make your own name. So I'm going to right click or go to the top left, new folder, Jesse Pack. If you don't have a Gmail, it's not going to work. You have to log into your Gmail. Okay. You're going to press create. It should create the folder. In your folder, you're going to type number one, Pen Tool Bootcamp. And then number two, Adobe Essential or something like that. Then inside of Pen Tool Bootcamp, you're going to put in the files that are in the Pen Tool Bootcamp. So I'm just going to grab these two, click and drag them in. Oh, shoot, that's the wrong one. Sorry, this is the wrong thing. So I'm going to click and drag these two in. There we go. And that's perfect. So there we go. It should look something sort of like this. So it should be like your name, number one, your name, number two, your name, number three. Does it kind of make sense, y'all? Anybody have any questions about submitting your assignments? Yes.
I happen to submit the syllabus in the thing early. Should I resubmit it with the naming convention?
Oh, for the syllabus, because like that, I'm just grabbing a private signature. Did you submit it from this link over here?
I did.
Oh, then you're good. Yeah, that you don't have to do. It's just for the art files. And yes, Juniper.
Do you want us to function to you for our files?
No, you don't. I will when basically like halfway through the session, I'll copy and paste all the Illustrator stuff into like my own computer and I'll delete everything and then it'll just leave the Photoshop stuff. I'll do the Photoshop stuff after. Just don't delete anything from your files. I will delete it for you. Okay, so like by the time the summer is over, you should get your Google Drive space back. But great question. Any other question? Okay, and then here's what I want to go over on checking. Because we are using the Google Drive, you can see other people's assignments. Okay, I mean, it's not like cheating to look at it, you know, they're just like exercises, right? It is cheating to take people's exercises. Okay, I will know. I can go into the metadata and see like who worked on it last and like what like computer it's from. So don't do that. Okay, but what I would recommend to do is have a friend in the class who can check and see if your stuff is uploaded. So if I like click on, if y'all go to Jesse Pack and you click on it, you can all see my files. That means it's 100% inside of the Google Drive. Okay, please double check. Okay, sometimes it's not your fault, sometimes it's not my fault. You know what happens a lot is I have students that upload their files and they like to upload all their files at once, so it takes a long time. Then the internet cuts off and they think it's uploaded because they went to sleep, and then they turn off their computer and realize they don't realize until the semester over that nothing's been uploaded. Okay, always double check. When you're finished uploading, you can email me and say, hey, Jesse, can you check to see if it's in there? Or you can ask your friend to check it to see if they can see it. If your friend can also see the files, that means that everyone can see the files too, including me. Does that kind of make sense, everyone? Okay, please double check, okay? Because like if you don't have it, there's really like nothing I can do to give you the points, because there's no way you can show me proof that you like did it like, you know, like within the times it's supposed to. So just double check. Okay, so that's how you submit your homework assignments. Anybody have any questions on submitting homework assignments before we jump into the next exercise? Okay, before we jump to next number 2, can we jump to number 3? Just jump to number 3. Anyone need to open number 3? Awesome, awesome. Okay, number 3 is really easy, okay? I want everybody to watch first because this is kind of like a mini lecture. Oh, actually, let's do this. Can y'all go to Windows and then go to Layers? So go ahead and open your layers. Anyone still need to open layers? Okay. So for this assignment, here are the instructions. You have to put in this like all of these shapes into these like individual layers. But how do we do that, right? First and foremost, y'all, I need to teach y'all how to group and ungroup, okay? So y'all see how like when you click on this, like it moves everything at once, and when you rescale it, it like scales everything at once, right? This is because this isn't a group, okay? Now, if you click on something and it clicks on a whole bunch of stuff, it's most likely in a group. The second way you can check is if you look at your layers, you see how there's like a drop-down box like right here, right? If you drop down the box and you see another layer in there that says group, so it's kind of hard to see, but you see how it says group right here, right? That's how you can know it's in a group too. So it actually says group under your layers. But a group allows you to group a bunch of shapes and lines together so that when you click on it, you can modify them all at once. So in order to group and ungroup something, so let's ungroup it first and then group it back together just to practice. You're going to click on your object. So go ahead and click on this first, right click, and then press ungroup. Once you do that, you should be able to move them around individually. And then when you're done, go ahead and select them again, right click and group them, and they should be grouped again. Anybody have any questions? Awesome. So try to like ungroup and group them. So ungroup them, move them around, and then group them together again. We are going to ungroup them after again. So if you want to ungroup them after again, that's fine too. But just practice grouping and grouping. You can click on your object, right click, and then you can ungroup. Anybody still need to practice grouping and ungrouping? Okay, so I'm going to ungroup this. All right, really quickly, y'all, make sure you have everything ungrouped so you can move them individually. So really quickly, how many of y'all do not know how layers work in digital art? Okay, one person. Okay, let me review that. So really quickly, y'all, layers in digital art are basically like invisible pieces of paper that we can access and work on top of. And then layers are organized in your layers window. So for example, if I overlap all these on top of each other, because this rectangle layer is above the circle layer, it's going to overlap the circle. And because the circle is above the triangle, these two are going to overlap the triangle. Does that make sense so far what layers are? Anybody super confused? Okay, so for layers, you can have like a background layer, a midground layer, and a foreground layer, and you can separate them like in those layers, right? That makes sense, right? Now in Illustrator, the way layers kind of work is a little bit different. Layers kind of work like groups. So for example, if I make a new layer over here and I made like a new shape, and we'll make it like a different color too, right? And I make a new shape, it still overlaps all of the stuff underneath it. But if I make another shape, so you see I'm clicking layer 5, right? If I make another shape and I'm selecting layer 5, it'll add another shape inside of layer 5. Does that kind of make sense so far, y'all? Like, y'all know what groups are in like digital art? Layers in Illustrator work more like groups. So basically you have to make a bunch of, so let's just say like you have a background, foreground, and midground layer. Inside of the background layer, there's going to be a bunch of paths and shapes. Inside the midground layer, there's going to be a bunch of paths and shapes. And inside of the foreground layer, there's going to be a bunch of paths and shapes. So just to kind of show y'all really quick, actually, let's open Cloud. So this is like a wallpaper mural thing that I worked on for like the coffee shop. So like if you look at it, sorry, the font's like missing. So if you go into like my layers over here, so if I go to window and I go to layers, right? You'll see like inside of these layers, when I click on the tree, oh, by the way, when you click on something, it will highlight which layer it's on. So it's just good to know. Inside of this like layer, it has like all of these little things I made for the tree. So all of the line work, all of the colorings, it's inside of like this tree layer. Does that make sense, y'all? And then inside of like, what is it? Like the logo layer, it's gonna have all the logo stuff. So like the orange ring, the lettering, all that stuff. So you can basically, the way I kind of think about Illustrator is like, you have to make a whole bunch of stickers, and each of the stickers have different parts that go inside of a layer. And then you organize the layers on top of each other, so the big elements afterwards, in order to figure out what elements overlap each other. Does that kind of make sense, everyone? Anybody like super confused by my explanation? Awesome. Okay. So another trick that you can do is, y'all see those little circles on the right-hand side, right? If you click on the circles, it selects the object inside of the layer or on that path. So if I want to select like the triangle without clicking it, I can just click on the little circle here where the triangle is. Okay, anybody have any questions before I show you how to finish this? Okay, so right now we have a rectangle, ellipse, and a triangle path inside of the big mess layer, right? That makes sense, right? So we have 3 paths, 4 technically if we count this, inside of a layer. Now for this assignment, I want y'all to move, oh, sorry, I just realized one last thing. Well, actually, you know what? Let me see. So I want to show y'all how to stack stuff really quick. Sorry, I want to test something really quick. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, we gotta do it this way real quick. Okay, so really quickly, I want to show y'all something. So, first and foremost, in order to organize your layers and like the stacking, you can click and drag your layers in order to change the overlapping. You all see that, right? So go ahead and try that out. Just kind of overlap them on top of each other and then just change the overlapping. Now, the shortcut key for this is Command and then bracket. So if you click on your square and you press Command and you press one of the brackets, it'll move your path between different layers. And you can see that. You'll see like right here. You'll see this right here, right? Like when I press command and I like press my brackets, it moves between them. You all see that, right? Anybody have any questions about how to arrange the order of stacking? And if you hold shift, it brings it to the very front and the very back. So if you want to just extremely bring it to the front or extremely bring it all the way down, just hold shift and command at the same time. So it's on the bottom over there for y'all to see. Okay. So there are two ways that, so for this assignment, here's what I want y'all to do is you have to put the triangle in the triangle layer, the square in the square layer, and the disk inside of the disk layer. So how do we do that? Now, I want to show y'all two methods. The first method is if you copy and paste something. So I'm going to select my, my box, and I'm going to go to Edit, and then we're going to go to Cut. So if I cut this, and I go to the square layer, and I paste it in, so Edit and then Paste, it'll paste it in the square layer. Anybody have any questions about copy/cut paste? Awesome. Okay, the next way is easier. You can literally just click and drag these and just drop them in. And then that allows you to move paths into different layers. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, if it looks like this, like if you have the triangle in the triangle layer, square in the square layer, disk in the disk layer, you can submit it. This one's done. Put your name in the front, same naming convention, never ever change it. Make sure it's the exact same. Press OK, and then save one JPEG and one like AI file. When you're finished, we're going to go to number 4. And just so I know, how many of y'all are need like a little bit of time to finish up like the last assignment, the one that we just went through? But everyone's ready? Anybody need me to wait? I can wait a little bit. You need a little time? Sure. I just set the quality on like the highest, so you can set the font, you can slide it to like 10, and then like I just make sure the resolution is at 300 DPI. And sorry, Dominic, you had a question?
Oh no, I was just saying, I was just,
Oh, gotcha. Sounds good. Okay. So anybody still need me to wait before I jump in? Okay, this one's really easy. Go ahead and open up number 4. I think we're going to do number 4, and then we're going to jump back to number 2, and we'll save number 5 for Monday. By next Monday, we should be done with all the exercises. So it should be pretty fast. So really quickly, number 4. Let me see how much more we got. Oh yeah, we should be done by then. This is going to be really fast. Okay. So for number 5, really quickly, y'all, I want y'all to select your first path using the black arrow tool. So go to black arrow, select the first path, and I want to kind of go over how to like mess around with this. Okay, so for this assignment, I'm going to teach y'all how to mess around with your strokes. Okay, so how do we mess around with your line weight? So first and foremost, I want to show you all this. If you click on your stroke, and if you click on these like arrows, you can make it thinner and thicker. You see that, right? And you can also change the color by either going to like this like box donut or the very top left. This is the same thing. So this thing over here or like the bottom right. Now, y'all see over here where it has like this like weird, like organic looking shape, right? This tells you like the thin to thick to thinness or like what the line weight's going to look like. So if you click on this, you can change your line weight. Anyone have any questions so far? Okay, I need to teach you all a really important trick for line weight. Y'all see this over here that says basic, right? Line weight only works with basic. It doesn't work with anything else. Everything else, you have to custom make the line weight. So if you want to use this line weight like feature here, you have to like go on basic. Anybody have any questions on that? Yes.
So, so the line weights are only specific to a certain brush, is what you're saying?
Yes, but there is a tool that you can use to change line weight. That'll show you on a little bit. Good question though. Any other questions? Excellent, excellent. Okay. Go ahead and pick a color and like a line weight that you really, really like. And when you're done, go ahead and click on the second one. Okay. So for the second one here, on the very top where it says basic, these are your brushes. If you click on them, it'll apply this brush onto your lines. So if you want a circular brush, you can do that. If you want a flat brush, you'll do that. If you want to do stitches, they even have a stitches version. So go ahead and try adding a brush of your choice. Whoops. So just pick a brush of your choice. Anyone still working on the second one? Okay, for number 3, by the way, you don't have to do the same ones as me. Like I'm just showing you all the tools as I do all of them. So for number 3, I want to show you how to change your line weight. To change your line weight, you're going to hold Shift and press W for width. When you do that, you should be able to click on your lines and change your line weight manually. You'll see that, right? Shift W, and then you can change your line weight. And you can save it too. If you go to your line weight profile here, you can actually save it like by clicking this little say add to profiles button. Press OK. Now it's one of the options. Anybody have any questions on this? Okay, 2 more. So I'm going to go to window. I want you all to go to, actually, let's do this. Can you all go to your drop down box here? And then on the very top right, there's like these like 3 bullet points with like 3 lines. You're going to click on that. And then you're going to go to open brush library and go ahead and select any of the ones here from arrows to decorative. So any of them. But don't do anything from image brush and onwards. So maybe I'll do decorative and banners and seals. Anyone still need to open that? Okay, so if you open a brush library, you'll get a new library, and this allows you to apply these designs onto your path. So if you need to make like a banner or a seal or something like that, you see it follows that. And I'm going to show you one last feature, and then if you follow along, you should be finished with these. Anybody have any questions? Anybody need me to wait before I show you all the last one? Okay, can y'all go back to the brush library thing? But this time go to other library. And when you're there, just wait for me. Okay, now if you click other library, it's going to bring this up. I want y'all to navigate to your folder. So go to your homework folder, and inside the files, there should be something that says Next Exile Brushes Pack. So go inside of your bootcamp folder that we just downloaded today. It should be under number 5, Next Exiles Brushes Pack. You're going to open that up, and you should get a new brush pack. Now, what's good to know is you can actually download brushes online, and this is how you upload them into Illustrator. Anybody have any questions on uploading, or anybody need help with this? Yes.
So how does like the file path kind of hierarchy work if you're moving from system to system when it comes to installing brush packs?
Oh, that's a good question. So if you're installing brush packs on here, you would need a USB or something, so that way you can like transfer it over to like a new like device. That's a great question.
So it's referencing the actual place in the thing rather than importing it to the file.
Yeah, it's gonna well, it'll import like the file into, so it'll source it from your computer from a file, but if you delete the file, it won't delete it off of Illustrator. But if you use a new Illustrator, it won't transfer over either. So it saves into like probably some sort of like memory file in like Illustrator. You had a question?
Oh, I was just gonna ask, so that doesn't mean we have to, if we do it at home, we'll have to download the brush pack again?
Yes, you would have to download it or keep it on a USB or like a drive where like you could like upload it again. Great question. Any other questions, y'all? Nice. Okay, now if you've uploaded it, go ahead and select one that you want to like use on this. And also you can change the size of these brushes too. You all see that, right? And then when you're finished and you have all 5, go ahead and save this. You're finished. So 1 JPEG, 1 AI. Anybody have any questions before we jump on? We're gonna try, I don't think we'll finish the next exercise, but we're gonna do as much of it as possible. Anyone have any questions? Awesome, awesome. Okay. I don't think we'll do this one today. Let's do number 2. Because number 2, everybody has to learn by this week. All right. This is where things might get a little hard. I want to give you all a warning. This is where the tools become a little more tricky. Okay. Anybody need time to open this? Okay. I'll wait like a quick minute. So try to get it open by 3:41. And then I have to get started right away. So it should be number 2. All right, anybody still need time to open it? Okay, I want everybody to go to this tool. You see where it says pen? Go ahead and click on your pen tool. Okay, now I want to teach you how to use the pen tool. The pen tool is your bread and butter, okay? It's going to allow you to make any shape you want. Now, to start off, the pen tool is going to create a path, when a point when you click, and when you click again, it creates a path. So 2 points make a path, point A to point B, right? When you click all the way back to your original point, it then closes up as a shape. You all see that, right? Anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so here's what I want y'all to do is for the top part, we're going to make all these shapes and we're going to make all these. Now, really quickly, so there's no confusion, you only got to make each shape once. So you don't have to do 2 of these mountains, just 1. You don't have to do 2 of these pentagons, just 1. Okay, so you should have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 traced shapes. Does that make sense, everyone? 9. Okay, I counted it. Okay, someone like one semester said, you didn't say 9. I did say 9. It was actually on recording. I actually brought up the recording and showed the whole class. So that person never said anything again. So here's what we're gonna do. Now, if you're an experienced like Illustrator user, you can use the bottom part to help you out. But if this is your first time, just use the top. So we're gonna make an open path first. To do that, I'm gonna click 1, 2, 3. And to keep it open, you press escape, and that's it. Now, the only thing I need y'all to do otherwise is just make your lines a little bit thicker so I can see them, okay? When you're done, you can do the pentagon. And when you're done with the pentagon, you can do the 45-degree triangle. For the last one, you're going to hold shift. So go ahead and work on these ones. And then when we're finished, we're going to do the curves. Anybody having trouble? You need to like check out their stuff. Just a heads up, y'all. I know, like, I see some of y'all using your pens. It's fine if you want to use your pens, but this assignment is a lot easier with the mouse. Actually, I recommend the pen tool should be used with the mouse. The pencil tool should be used with the pen. So I actually would avoid using like your Wacom pen unless like you're using the pencil tool, which we're not going over today. All right. Anybody who's still working on this first set, the first 3 set? What's up? Need some help? Yeah, you can put that away. It's actually not going to help this too much. Let's use the mouse. So let's go ahead and click on these dots right here. Yeah. Yeah, basic connecting dots. Perfect. You can do that with that. For this one, hold shift. Yes, you hold shift, click. It'll keep it straight. Awesome, you're done. Also good to know, y'all. Just so I like give people some good feedback on it. So I know some of y'all are using laptops. For laptops, it's easier to use a mouse, but if you don't have a mouse, I did have somebody last semester who used a trackpad. That person was incredibly beast though. They're like, I was like, I don't know how you did it, but yeah, this pen tool is much better with mouse, not Wacom pen. Okay, you can do it with a Wacom pen, but it's just a lot trickier. Okay, does anybody need me to wait before I work on this bottom one here? Okay, so next thing we're gonna go over is curves. I want everybody to watch. So to make a curve, you have to make a handlebar. To make a handlebar, you have to click and drag and it'll make a handlebar. You see that, right? Now, a handlebar is not going to be visible to the naked eye, or it's not going to be visible to us. It's just going to determine how much we curve. You see that, right? So we can go back and adjust these handlebars later with the Y arrow tool to get the perfect curve. Anybody have any questions so far about creating handlebars? Okay, so to do this, it's super simple. You're going to click here, click and drag, and y'all see how it curves up like a rainbow, right? The direction it curves is the direction your mouse needs to go. So this is curving up, so you need to move your mouse up. And I'm going to stop right when it hits the guideline. Does that make sense, everybody? Once you have that, you should see a curve match the other curve. And then over here, okay, so this is a little bit tricky. So if I click on this, you see how the curve continues, but it continues down, right? Like if I follow this path, it goes up first and then it goes down, right? The second time you have to go down. And here's the trick, y'all. If it looks weird like this, just try it the other way. Like if you're not sure why it looks like this, just flip it. That's it. When you're done, press escape. And same for these ones right here too. Oh, another trick, by the way, y'all, is if you see how I'm like holding this? If you press spacebar, you can move this around before confirming. So I can move this over here, move this over here, boom. Same for this one, hold shift this way. And then for this one, we actually got to go the same direction. If we go the opposite, it's going to be a curve, but we want an S curve. So same direction. So go ahead and work on these three, y'all. And then when y'all are done, we only got 10 minutes. So here's what I'm going to do. This is being recorded. So I'm going to do the balloon and record it. So that way, y'all can start trying it over the weekend. I'm also going to send another video that we're going to finish this on Monday, by the way. But I'm going to send y'all a couple of videos for those of you who want to move ahead to like work on that's basically demos on how to do like the rest of it first. On Monday, I'm going to do it with y'all in the class and give y'all a little bit of time to do it. Okay, it's not a lot of time because we have to finish a lot of the stuff on Monday, but it's going to be a little bit of time just to like mess around with it. All right, but let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to go around and check up on everyone first. And then after that, I'll just do the balloon one really quick. But we'll jump back to the balloon on Monday because like I don't want to, I want y'all to like have time to ask me questions and have to check stuff too. If your handlebars are like, and if your handlebars are like making weird shapes, remember, just like turn it the other way. It might not be in the right direction. So I'll give you all like 2 minutes to like finish these up. I think the first two are pretty easy. It's like the last one that most people get stumped on. But like after that, we'll go over, we're just gonna like breeze through this bottom one first and we'll jump back to it on Monday. So we'll do the balloon after. I recommend if y'all have time at home this week, if you have time, focus on like maybe like watch the video and try to do the balloon on your own. But otherwise, like I do highly recommend maybe focusing on projects. You know, like do your sketches, things like I think like the number one thing is and this is what I'm most concerned about is like for this class, I always get people who's like, oh, I don't want to start until I learn Illustrator. I don't want to start until I learn that's bad time management. That's really bad time management. And like if you want to be like a professional in this field, you're going to be doing stuff in between your breaks to like make up for things that you couldn't do and all that stuff, you know, like it's going to require you to like manage what you need to get done early so that like later on you have time to like actually make good things, you know? So please like focus on like your sketches this week and make that really cool so that when you finish, you don't even have to worry about design anymore. You're just literally tracing over it, right? Okay. I'm going to show y'all this one super quick, wrap up the class and let y'all go. And then on Monday, I'll go around and help people out with this. Okay. This one's really difficult. Not really, this one's simple, but it's a little bit tough because most people don't get this. So I'm going to start with the top. I'm going to make the handlebars even, right? Now, you all see how this handlebar are different sizes, right? I'm going to make the small one first, but here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my click. You see, I'm still holding my button. You see that, right? I'm not letting go. Okay, I'm not letting go. It's still being, I'm still holding it, but I'm going to hold Alt Option. Alt Option allows me to make, you see how my mouse is holding the bottom handlebar, not the top handlebar, right? If I hold Alt Option, it allows me to move, it locks the top handlebar, but not the bottom one. Or it locks the one that's not being held. So whichever one is not being touched, it locks that. And whichever one you're like clicking and holding, it moves that instead. Does that make sense so far? Anybody have any questions? Okay, so same for this one. We're gonna do this side. Match that side first, hold Alt Option, move it to the other side. Boom. Let's make this bigger. Hold Alt Option, make this smaller. And for the very, very last one, we're just going to click and drag and just fill it in. All right. Anybody have any quick questions about this? We'll work on this again on Monday. And here's what I'll do is if you want to finish this in class today, I will stay a little bit past class to help you finish it. Okay. But anybody have any questions about doing the balloon before I wrap up the class and let y'all go for the day? Okay, awesome. So really quickly, y'all, this Monday or next Monday, we are going to do the votings for Project One. Okay, we're not doing an official critique, so you're not going to get feedback where we talk about it. We're just going to vote on our favorite thumbnails. Okay, really important, y'all. Please do this right because it's not professional to do this part wrong. When you upload your thumbnails, make sure to number them. Okay, you have to know, like when you're working at a company and you're with a team of people, it's incredibly confusing to not label stuff because people are like, I like the one in the middle, left, right, and like this. And then like people have to get up and start pointing. It's not communicative, okay? You have to number these because it's the easiest way for us to exactly tell y'all like what we think y'all should go with, right? So number them and then you could post your references down here. If you're doing the stickers, I only need 8 also. Okay, like for this session, just give me 8 for this part, and then like later on, you can finish the rest of your sketches when you submit your like assignments. Anybody have any questions on this before I let y'all go for the day? Cool. All right. Well, in that case, if you don't need me anymore, you're welcome to head out, y'all. Next Monday, we'll finish this up along with like the exercises. But other than that, if you want to stay behind to work on this a little bit, I can help you with the balloon. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe, and I will see y'all next Monday. And I'll upload these onto the demo part right now. So for those of y'all, if you wanted to like download the demos, it should be up in a little bit. Also, as a heads up, when it hits like 4:10, I gotta go. So I'm only gonna stay for like 10 minutes.